Trump recently put out a statement on Truth Social that kind of went along with what he's been doing, which is issuing threats to Iran if they don't give Trump what he wants. But in the second half of that statement, he said something that I think is worth focusing on. He says, no nuclear weapons and the Strait of Hormuz will be open and safe. In the meantime, our great military is loading up and resting, looking forward actually to its next conquest. That's, by the way, not a good look, but Trump being president alone isn't a good look anyway. But let's just talk about enrichment of uranium and the possibility of Iran building a nuclear weapon. Now, prior to the war, there was no indication that Iran was working to build a nuclear weapon. There was a fatwa issued by the Ayatollah, who has since been assassinated, indicating that no nuclear weapons would be built. And now, why wouldn't Iran build a nuclear weapon? Everyone knows that if you don't have a nuclear weapon, you stand a very real chance, especially in that region of the world, of getting attacked by Israelis or the United States. And that's exactly what happened to Iran, even though they went out of their way to appease the US and avoid a war. So Iran's atomic energy chief, by the way, Mohammad Eslami, said the US will not succeed in restricting Iran's enrichment program. And I don't blame them for feeling that way. He says that the US and Israel's demands for Iran to cease uranium enrichment will not come true. He also told Iran's ISNA news agency, quote, the claims and demands of our enemies to restrict Iran's enrichment program are merely wishes that will be buried. And it's sad that this is where we are right now, considering where we could have been had we not attacked Iran. So what am I talking about? Remember, days prior to the war beginning, you had the Omani mediator who was involved in the peace negotiations, the talks between Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and the Iranians. And he had shared with Margaret Brennan that the Iranians had made a major concession that even Obama in the JCPOA was unable to secure. What am I talking about? This is what I'm talking about.
I believe is the agreement that Iran will never ever have a nuclear material that will create a bomb.
So you're saying all enriched material would be shipped someplace else, not Russia, but
no. The current stockpiles that still exist,
the things that are still in Iran.
I think that there is agreement now that this will be downblended to the lowest level possible,
okay,
to a neutral level, a natural level, which means and converted into fuel, and that fuel will be irreversible.
That would be significant if Iran agreed to that.
It is very significant, and I think we have agreement on that.
Steve Witkoff, however, made his rounds in US media, claiming that Iran was a week away from having a nuclear weapon, which was a lie, which is a full-blown lie, not just based on my opinion, based on US intelligence. So here we are. Now we're at war because guess what? This was never about nuclear weapons. This was always about Israel's border expansion policies, the Greater Israel Project. Iran is literally the only challenge to that. So in the mind of the Israelis, we need to turn Iran into a failed state. That's what the goal was. And that's why days after the attack happened, the war began, what's the first thing that Israel did? They invaded Lebanon because they want to take over southern Lebanon and possibly take over even more land than that. So here we are, Jake.
Yeah, so let me talk about all the ways that this war has been disastrous for America and actually, depending on how you look at it, positive for Israel. So for America, we could have gotten their enriched uranium, stopped their program, and even gotten their stockpiles, as you just saw. Would have been an enormous win, right? Number two is we never had to pay a toll in the Strait of Hormuz. Now Iran is charging $2 to $2.5 million per ship that goes through the Strait of Hormuz, and that toll might be permanent. So the war actually put us backwards. So now they're never going to stop enriching uranium, and we have no leverage to make them stop because we just lost the war, and we have to pay an extra $2 million per ship at a minimum and so does the whole world. Like what you guys aren't seeing is that there are shortages in South Korea and in India and in so many parts of the world. The whole world is having an economic crisis because Israel demanded this war. And it has only strengthened Iran's leverage, and it has made the world and America weaker because of the war. So it has been a disastrous war so far, definitely against America's interests. And if we go deeper in, oil prices are going to skyrocket. And some of the damage that has been done in the oil and gas facilities of our allies is going to take 2 to 5 years to repair. So that means the damage to gas prices and to so many other products will last for so long. So the further we go in, the more damage that'll be done and the worse it'll be for the global economy. But if we leave now, we have to pay a toll for the rest of our lives, and they're gonna keep enriching uranium. So we got walked into the biggest lose-lose situation I have ever seen. Now, why is it a potential win for Israel? Well, number one, they wanted to destroy as many of Iran's facilities as possible, and they have. And they wanted a regime change, but it looks like they're not gonna be able to get that. But then their second plan B was chaos in Iran. They haven't quite gotten that, but they keep pushing and pushing towards that. What they would love to do is start a civil war in Iran so that they're distracted and can't fund Hamas and Hezbollah. And that is why you're seeing all over television, neocons pushing out the point, oh, we've got to arm the Iranians. We got to start sending arms in so that they could start a civil war inside Iran, okay? Secondly, you get to Lebanon, where Israel wanted to distract everyone while they took southern Lebanon. And that's exactly what they're doing now. They've cleared out south of the Litani River. They've moved 1 million people out of there. They're bombing villages at a time, and they're planning to take southern Lebanon. So as we are all suffering, there's one other thing that Israel is ecstatic about. All of those oil and gas facilities of not just Iran, but our Gulf allies are being damaged. The only thing not damaged is the Leviathan gas field in Israel. And as we showed you in previous shows, Netanyahu is now bragging about, hey, that's the only alternative you have left for energy. So Israel is going to get richer and the rest of the world is going to get poorer. And most especially us here in America.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.